afternoon. Please welcome to the ARIISW session, part of the 5th International Academic Forum organized by Asian Research Institute for International Social Work, Shukutoku University, Japan. As you can see, we are in the typical Japanese room, sitting on tatami mats. Please note that this is not a virtual background. This is real. This is a real thing, real books. And however, this session will be not only about Japan. We focus on Buddhist social work, highlighting activities provided by Buddhists and Buddhist temples in the whole Asian region. The session will be composed of 2 lectures, one from Japan, one from Sri Lanka, and 4 brief interview sessions, delivering you various voices from various parts of Asia, such as Sri Lanka, Thailand, or Bhutan. My name is Joseph Gohori, and I will be your moderator, your MC today. Your microphones and cameras are set off right now and should stay off during the entire session. If you have any question or any technical problem, such as I can hear the voice or I can see the PowerPoint slide, please let us know using Q&A. Q&A is on the bottom on your Zoom screen. In the end of the session, I hope we will have enough time to share some comments and questions, to have some time for discussion. And the same, please let us know your comments, share with us your comments and questions using the Q&A. So let me introduce the first speaker and person who proposed the concept of Buddhist social work, Professor Tatsuro Akimoto, director of the Asian Institute for International Social Work. Professor Tatsuro, the virtual floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Slideの画面映ってないかな。Okay. Again, welcome all of you. I'm honored to be the first presenter. I'd like to introduce Buddhist social work to mainly Western-rooted professional social work people who may not be familiar with Buddhist social work. Very basic information will be given in this lecture. Content would be the introduction of Buddhist social work, very brief history of ours, and a few achievements, and I'll tell you where we are now. Using the last quarter of time, I'll refer to the contribution of Buddhist social work to the development of social work itself. Who bore Buddhist social work? My colleagues named Tatsuro Akimoto, the father and the leader in the initial stage until today. But I am a man. I can't have a baby. Who is a mother? The mother of Buddhist social work is Western-rooted professional social work. About 10 years ago, IF and IEA had the revision of international definition And Abaze organized definition review project at the time. So this project was the first action. And I went to Vietnam to listen to their idea. Nguyen Hoi Loan, a professor, was the first person who pronounced the word of Buddhism. And he made a proposal of a research, Buddhism and social work, was Buddhism's role in social work. The Abazuet, at that time I was the president, organized 3-year research. And his university, University of Social Sciences and Humanities, and Shukutoku University, conducted 3-year research. This is we proud him. He's Nguyen Hoi Loan. He is the person who pronounced the word of Buddhism for the first time in front of me. Then Abazuet conducted second research named Professional Social Work and its Functional Alternatives. Various countries joined, and one country, for example, picked up the spiritual healer as a functional alternative of professional social work. Some person picked up NGO social work, but one person from Sri Lanka, Vikrama Singha, first name is Anuradha. He was picked up Buddhism as a functional alternative of professional social work. He did a very serious research, interviewing many top monks and governments, and as well as a lot of people on the streets. This is his face. I'm proud of him. How nice he is. And the third trigger of Buddhist social work is the Shukutoku University 50th anniversary forum. For that forum, we conducted one research, 5-country Buddhist social work activities in Asia research. This was the first occasion for us to use the term of Buddhist social work. At that time, getting support, in a sense, from Western rooted social work, our Buddhist social work journey started. The Brown is Buddhist social work journey. And as soon as we started, our colleague in ARIISW, our institute, including Joseph, we developed ABC model. What is that? As soon as we started a discussion, we had a confusion. We found eventually there were 3 different ways of usage of the term of Buddhist social work. Over majority of people use that word just for Western rooted professional social work performed by Buddhist people. Like in California, there was a church, Christian church, but next to the church, there was a Buddhist temple. And the temple and monks there observed good practice of Christian church and their brothers and sisters. And they thought that's a very good idea. So some Buddhist people and temples conducted Western-rooted professional social work. And however, recently, this idea is not popular among even among Western-rooted professional social group. Now, current popular voice is the term is indigenization, adaptation, modification. Of course, each country, each region has different uh, culture, different social background. So it's impossible for us to just adapt, adopt the Western-rooted professional social work to our country or to our society. So some adaptation or indigenization to be necessary. This has been welcomed and accepted by major Western-rooted professional social work people. But some people are not comfortable with this idea because how much we adapt or indigenize our practice, or no, it's still adapted or indigenized social work as a Western-rooted professional social work, like a Christian missionary in 1970s, 80s, 90s, even 20th century. The Christian missionaries went to, for example, Latin America, Asia, Africa, and they modified how to speak, the construction of the building, or the costumes of the priest, or some metaphors. They changed, but still what was transferred was pure Christianity. So some people thought, no, what we need is a Buddhist social work means Buddhist social work is we have to start with Buddhism, not with Western professional social work. So there are three different ways of usage. The third group was, there was no third group actually. We may be the first group who started using this expression. Why we are interested in the model B, model C Buddhist social work? First of all, intellectually, it's interesting. Model A and B. Too many people have been discussing, too many literatures, not so interesting. We are interested in this social work or serving people with the sufferings better, more efficiently, as part of Buddhist work, not under Western professional social work. Three, we are interested in our own social work based on our own culture, tradition, life, and society. Otherwise, we could never have our own social work forever. We'd like to have Buddhist social work at parity in position with Western professional social work. We are not the obedient, what to call the servant. We are not the below under them. And in addition, even some people or the most popular model, model B, in order to have model B seriously, we need model C. Otherwise, we do not know what elements we can put in to Western professional social work. So after this model construction, we expanded our five-country Buddhist social work activities research to 12 countries, all Buddhist majority countries in Asia. And also, we decided to have a publication series. And on my right side, there are already one, two, three, four, eight. Already eight volumes. And this is English, but we have a Japanese version and some other country, Mongolia, uh, published the same volume in their own language. Then we organized Asian Buddhist Social Work Research Network. All of these 12 countries, some people joined it. And we formulated adventurously Buddhist social work working definition. This is Buddhist social work. That's a little bit long, but let me read it. Buddhist social work is human activities to help other people solve or alleviate life difficulties and problems based on the Buddhist nature. Buddhist social work always finds causes to work on in material or social arena, as well as in the human or inner arena, working on both arenas in tandem. Its fundamental principles include compassion, loving kindness, mutual help, and interdependency and self-reliance. The central value is the five precepts. The ultimate goal is to achieve the well-being of all sentient beings and peace. And just once reading is not enough, but anyway, something like this. This is our current product working definition of this social work. What are the, this seems to be the similar to Western rooted professional social work definition, at least in composition. But it was intentional to some extent. We want to be communicable with Western rooted professional people, so we adopted similar format. But the content has a lot of special features. For example, the last line, we are interested in the well-being of all sentient beings, ultimate goal, not only human beings. We are interested in compassion of a fundamental principles, compassion, loving kindness, and mutual help. We can't find the word of social justice and human rights. We are interested in both aspects, not only objective, what we call the outer material or social arena, but also we are interested in inside, inner aspect of human beings. Also, there is some other words, Buddhist nature, or there was another something, oh, five precepts. The non-Buddhist people may not know, but anyway, that's kind of, so this is very different. For example, in individualism or binary oppositional way of understanding or self-achievement of Maslow's, a little bit far from our idea. Later in interview, you will learn some characteristics. And now, after definition, where are we now? Now is the time to test, retest, refine that definition as well as our basic idea, basic understanding of Buddhist social work. from Buddhist theories and teachings, empirical research, historical review, and practice. Through those tests, we will go ahead. The second one, contextualization. So far, up to the definition level, we intentionally dropped contextual factors. Now, once we want to do some research, education, and policy, or the programs or the practice in the real field, we have to consider contextual conditions. Each country has a difference. Theravada and Mahayana the Buddhism, different. Even some of our groups may think Buddhism is not a religion. So there are a lot of different, for example, in Japan, there are many subsects within our Buddhism. So a lot of variations. But once we want to do something in the real world, we have to, of course, consider those factors. And so far, we have been going on our way, shake hands together. But from now on, maybe we, of course, will go together. But at the same time, each country, each society, each person should take take an initiative and more independently. Otherwise, it will take too much time to go ahead. So Thai group organized some study group. Mongolian had organized a good international conference. Vietnam people, they always conduct some very good research. And Sri Lankan team or Sri Lankan monks, temples have been conducting a lot of good practices. And our group, resort, our institute organized one research, can and cannot research. It's a nickname. Actually, what Buddhist social work can do while Western-rooted professional social work cannot. And we have one visitor scholar from Sri Lanka. He's a monk. He is now studying on Sutta Pitaka, that Buddhism teachings or theories. Or, he is interested in testing the Western-rooted, Western professional social work, understanding, theory, framework. They using that Buddhist elements. And we had a forum, we had another research. Still, we are continuing. So far, only several years. We planted seed, and we had a shoot, a little. We are still around here. But it will take maybe hundreds of years, or I sometimes said I have to die and revise reincarnation couple of times until the establishment of Buddhist social. This is today's situation. Our Buddhist social work study, our Buddhist social work journey is for Buddhist social work. However, our Buddhist social work journey, our Buddhist social work study contributes to the development of social work as a whole beyond Buddhist social work itself. We owe professional social work here some years ago when we started. They stimulated us. They triggered our action. So we owe them. So debt has to be repaid. So now, last year, 16, no, 14 months ago, we had a forum. At that time, we decided to return some to them. We wanted to return something, at least, some debt to them, the Western-rooted professional social work. But at the same time, we thought we want to make a contribution to social work as a whole, in general. Then what were the contribution? It's very simple though. We deciphered what the social work of the third stage. Third stage means Europe and US, and Canada. And now it's the time for us to expand social work to all over the world. The social work mutually acceptable to the whole world. What the social work mutually acceptable to the whole world looks like, and how it could be reached. We showed something a little. Western social work people in, has been insisting on social work equal Western social work, professional social work, as if it were entitled to monopolize social work, rejecting all other social works by other people. We Buddhist social work people so complained of Western professional social work's arrogancy and asked to be a little more modest. And we established Buddhist social work outside Western professional social work based on our own culture, life, and society. And we repositioned Western professional social work from their sole absolute position to a relative one, relative position equivalent to other social works. And in order to make Western social work something truly of the world, we clarified that disseminating and copying the current Western social work to all over the world, with or without indigenization, is not the answer. It means just a globalization of Western professional social work itself. Some people may call again it's a social colonialism. But what we need to do is being conscious, become conscious of identifying and reconstructing various indigenous social works all over the world and embracing and subsuming them into a concept of social work. Social work wants to serve all people with sufferings in the world, not 100 years from now, but now. Unless we begin with our own indigenous practice in our own community, we could never fulfill our social work mission as a social work lovers. Thank you very much.
Professor Akimoto, thank you very much. Thank you very much for briefly reviewing the history of research activities of Buddhist social work and introducing the concept of Buddhist social work, which is really new. Oh, we are still in the middle of our journey, but many scholars and many practitioners, many researchers from various Asian regions are with us. I want to introduce their voice. Let's start with the first interview session. Please welcome Ms. Sopa Onopas and Venerable Surakrai from Mahamakut Buddhist University, Thailand. Can you both hear me? Hello?
Good afternoon, Joseph.
Good
and
afternoon.
Tasaru. Yeah.
Nice to see you again. How are you?
Okay, I'm fine, and hope to you also.
Yeah, we are all, okay. Thank you very much for attending the session.
Yeah.
And it's Venerable Surakrai with you?
No, we separated during the COVID time, and maybe he's in the university.
I see. Just wait a minute. We just check it. スラクライ先生、すいません。一般視聴者の中でスラクライで検索してみてください。お願いします。Okay. Sorry for interruption in the Japanese language. We will try. Oh, we got him. He's already online, so it's okay. So now I think he will. Thank you very much. He will join us as a panelist in a few seconds. Okay, perfect. Now we are complete. Great. So I would like to start with the interview session, and I got two questions for both of you. First, I would like to ask you, Sopa, because we have been working together for a couple of years, and as the secretary of the Thailand Association of Social Workers, you have contributed to the development of the social work profession for a long time. And when we met for the first time at the international meeting a few years ago, you were one of those who promoted Model B as a combination based on Western-rooted professional social work enriched by Buddhist elements. However, after years of our joint research activities, you found yourself in the group supporting the Model C. Could you tell us what led you to the Model C?
Thank you for the challenging questions. And also thank you for Tasaru, your presentation also reveal me about the experience that we have as a team of Buddhist social work. I can answer the question with my background. Actually, education on social work. My background is finished master degree in social work, and also become a lecturer, social work lecturer in Hochschule University. And lasted my position is a Secretary General of Social Work Profession Council. At that time, the Thailand just have the social work law, and I become a Secretary General to do like a standardized social work practitioner. On my background made me believe that the social work come from the charitable concept from the Western root. And later, it's developed as a professional standardized and become international body of social work knowledge. Therefore, I ignore the belief of Buddhism concept that has a long history, more than 2,500 years ago, even though at that time, at that the moment of in Thailand, we established the social work program is about 70, almost 70 years ago at Thammasat University. And at that time, the monk, the famous monk, give the word สังคมสงเคราะห์ social work for us. And he explained that the word สังคมสงเคราะห์ or social work in Bali language, it means the effort to create relationship and connection within society and to support the society. But when we look more deeply in the drama significance of สงเคราะห์ or สังคหะ in Bali meaning, it means to collect or to put things together or to unite. It implies that the cohesion of mind and body and society together. Even though I learned about this definition from the Buddhist monk, but I just accept the Western definition more than the Thai definition from the Buddhist monk. And also when I teach my students, I teach also the Western definition to them, even though it's quite hard to explain some concept, But I believe that it is the core or the main thing of social work. Okay. And secondly, when I agree to work with the definition meaning at the World Social Work, like Tassaro said before, okay, in each country, we have to make describe our definition in each country. But when we describe, we still on the basic of Western also, we just expand some like wisdom, local wisdom to the definition at that time also. It means that it seemed like that my mind and my heart, just believe only in the Western root social work. And thirdly, in originally, I had a view that monk and temple are the informal resources of social worker. This is mainly for me at that time. Monk and temple who did social work activity, just only resources that the social worker could refer the client or the user to that place. If the government resources not enough or not available, then we refer them to the Buddhist monk or temple. I think it's just only a resource, one of resources for the social worker. Because in Thailand, there are some monk and some temple that there has activity to help the underprivileged people, such as there has a hospice for late state of AIDS patient or cancer, home for children or elderly, and occupational training center or rehabilitation center for the elderly. This is the activity that the temple provide to Thai people also. Then in the early state of participating in the exchange research with Shukutoku and all the team. The finding with the research, I found myself believe in model B, or integrate Buddhist concept to professional social work, such as social worker apply meditation or mindful activity to the special needs children or the patient with trauma. At that time, I think about just only the technique that we use from Buddhist, right? Is meditation or mindful to use with our client at that time. And I think that is model B is quite okay for us at that time. And later on, the key question come to my mind that challenged me is that the social worker as model B could make the service for 6 million poor people to have a good quality of life in Thailand, because we have just only 3,000 social workers. This is enough for the privileged group. That come to my, this question come to my mind also. And also, those who will work to help the disadvantaged are only social worker, can be anyone else to help the disadvantaged people. Right now in Thailand, we have a licensing law, and then most of the social workers who work with the government agency should have or must have the license. To compare with the target group is 1 million. I think it's not enough to take care all of them. In the research finding with the team, I found that monk and the temple already have helped the people according to the teaching of Buddha. And they can help physically, mentally, and socially, and also in spiritual aspect also. I like to expand the aspect of physical aspect, such as the monk or the temple can provide hospice or terminal state patient. In mental aspect, the people, when the people come to consult with the daily life problem to the monk or to the temple, the monk usually guide them with drama, so can help them to understand more on drama. For the social aspect, the temple is the center of the community. The people come and meet and share their experience and talk within the temple area, and also they can meet and share during the Buddhist festival. For the spiritual aspect, like during, I like to give an example during the COVID-19 situation in Thailand. I met some monk or the temple to provide help to the villager, to the village people in the temple area. By the monk do the home visit or visit the patient at home. The client when they met the monk at home, they said they have very lucky like to go to the heaven, and they said that they can fight with the COVID, they can survive because the monk or the temple helped them. This is the example of the spiritual aspect that, and moreover, some monk and the villager to protect the environment, such as forest and river also. And in Thailand, we have like many monks and also the temple that are the center of the community. This is made me think that if we are open and deeply study about Buddhist social work, we may find the new way more clearly. And also in Thailand, we have 2 Buddhist university that provide social work curriculum. That is my good to give and study more for the model C. That's
Okay.
thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your answer. It was amazing, and I think that your answer is touching the essence of the whole forum we are trying to share during this forum. Thank you very much. And during in your answer, Sopa mentioned some activities provided by Buddhist temples and Buddhists in Thailand. And our next speaker, Venerable Surakrai, is one of those who are working with people in the field. He's a Buddhist monk and also a teacher at Mahamakut Buddhist University. Venerable Surakrai, can you hear me? Please. Oh, now we can see you. Okay, great. Thank you very much for attending our forum. Thank you. I'm very happy to see you again. Thank you. So the next question goes to Venerable Surakrai. And I would like to ask about development monks and Buddhist social work, about the difference between these two terms. There is a long tradition on experience of so-called development monks in Thailand. Development monks have been supporting and assisting individuals, families, and communities in Thailand for a long time. However, you have launched the education program on Buddhist social work at Mahamakut Buddhist University. Where is the difference between Buddhist social work and activities provided by development monks?
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm from Surakai. Hello.
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 You can continue in Thai language. It's okay. We are ready.
Okay. Thank you. กล่าวถึงความแตกต่างระหว่างคำว่าสังคมสงเคราะห์เชิงพุทธกับพระสงฆ์นักพัฒนานั้นควรเข้าใจก่อนว่าคำว่าสังคมสงเคราะห์ในภาษาไทยนั้นมาจากภาษาสังคมสงเคราะห์ในสังคมสงเคราะห์เชิงพุทธกับพระสงฆ์นักพัฒนานั้นควรเข้าใจnext try next yeah. next okayหากจะกล่าวถึงความแตกต่างระหว่างคำว่าสังคมสงเคราะห์เชิงพุทธกับพระสงฆ์นักพัฒนานั้นควรเข้าใจโอเค ควรเข้าใจคำว่าสังคมสงเคราะห์ในภาษาไทยนั้นมาจากคำว่าสังคหะในภาษาบาลีแปลว่าประมวลรวบรวมจับมารวมกันไว้ยึดเหนี่ยวจิตใจให้เป็นอันเดียวกันสังคหะที่แปลว่ายึดไว้เป็นอันเดียวกันนั้นหมายถึงยึดในแง่ทั้งนามธรรมและรูปธรรมกล่าวคือทางนามธรรมคือยึดเหนี่ยวผูกจิตใจหรือจิตวิญญาณให้เป็นอันเดียวกันส่วนทางรูปธรรมที่เห็นชัดเจนคือให้คนมารวมกันประสานเข้าไว้ไม่แตกแยกไม่กีดกันไม่ทอดทิ้งใครไว้แต่อยู่ร่วมกันอย่างมีความสุข next สังคมสงเคราะห์ตามแนวทางพุทธศาสนาคือทำให้สังคมอยู่รวมกันเป็นหนึ่งเดียวแต่เมื่องานสังคมสงเคราะห์จากตะวันตกเข้าสู่ประเทศไทยนั้นรูปธรรมที่ผู้คนพบเห็นก็คือการให้หรือการแจกสิ่งของให้แก่คนยากจนคำว่าสังคหะหรือสังคมสงเคราะห์จึงเป็นเพียงคำว่าให้มิได้หมายถึงการรวมเข้าไว้เป็นหนึ่งเดียวกันตามรากศัพท์ดั้งเดิมจึงมีความพยายามของนักกิจกรรมทางสังคมที่จะใช้คำอื่นๆแทนคำว่าสงเคราะห์ที่ดูคับแคบเพียงแค่การหยิบยื่นให้ส่วนคำว่าพัฒนาซึ่งหมายถึงการเจริญงอกงามหรือการเปลี่ยนแปลงที่ดีขึ้นได้ถูกนำมาใช้สำหรับความหมายที่กว้างขึ้นและสะท้อนถึงการเปลี่ยนแปลงความงอกงามจึงมักเรียกพระสงฆ์ที่ทำงานสังคมสงเคราะห์ว่าพระสงฆ์นักพัฒนา next การกำหนดบทบาทของพระสงฆ์ตามกฎหมายคณะสงฆ์ในประเทศไทยพ.ศ. 2505แก้ไขเพิ่มเติม 2535ที่กำหนดบทบาทหลักของพระสงฆ์โดยที่เริ่มจากบทบาทภายในของคณะสงฆ์เองแล้วส่งผลต่อสังคมต่อชุมชนในวงกว้างมากยิ่งขึ้นอันได้แก่การปกครองคณะสงฆ์การศาสนศึกษาการเผยแผ่ศาสนาการสาธารณูปการการสาธารณสงเคราะห์โดยเฉพาะด้านนี้ซึ่งเป็นการให้ความช่วยเหลือทางวัตถุในรูปแบบต่างๆที่ไม่ขัดต่อวินัยเช่น การที่วัดหรือคณะสงฆ์สร้างโรงพยาบาลจัดซื้อเครื่องมือทางการแพทย์อบรมอาชีพให้แก่ประชาชนการอนุรักษ์สิ่งแวดล้อมการช่วยเหลือผู้เปราะบางทางสังคมเป็นต้นซึ่งไม่ว่าจะเรียกพระสงฆ์ที่ทำกิจกรรมสาธารณสงเคราะห์ว่า Buddhist Social Work or Development Monk ก็คือความหมายเดียวกันในการกำหนดบทบาทหน้าที่ของพระสงฆ์ด้านสาธารณสงเคราะห์พระสงฆ์ไม่ได้เรียกตัวเองว่าพระสงฆ์นักพัฒนาหรือพระสงฆ์นักสังคมสงเคราะห์แต่เป็นพระที่ปฏิบัติตามหน้าที่ตามคำสอนของพระพุทธเจ้า next หลักสูตรสังคมสงเคราะห์ของมหามงกุฎนั้นเลือกที่จะใช้คำว่า Buddhist Social Work เพราะความหมายของการพัฒนาและสังคมสงเคราะห์นั้นมีหลายความหมายและหนึ่งในความหมายนั้นคือการเปลี่ยนแปลงสิ่งใดสิ่งหนึ่งให้มีคุณภาพดีกว่าเดิมไม่ว่าจะเป็นการพัฒนากายจิตสังคมและปัญญาซึ่งความหมายนี้ครอบคลุมถึงการสังคมสงเคราะห์ซึ่งเป็นการยึดเหนี่ยวจิตใจประสานหมู่ชนไว้ให้รวมเป็นอันหนึ่งอันเดียวกันหรือการให้สังคมเกาะกลุ่มคุมกันอยู่เป็นอันเดียวกันไม่แตกแยกกระจัดกระจายดังนั้นความมุ่งหมายของสังคมสงเคราะห์จึงไม่เป็นเพียงเอาอะไรไปให้เขาไม่ใช่การเอาบริการไปให้เขาเอาเงินทองไปให้แต่เป็นการทำให้สังคมรวมใจกันผนึกยึดเหนี่ยวกันไว้ได้การสังคมสงเคราะห์เป็นการช่วยเหลือเพื่อนมนุษย์ให้เขาสามารถช่วยเหลือตัวเองได้ซึ่งมีความเกี่ยวข้องกับหลักธรรมในทางพุทธศาสนาที่พระพุทธเจ้าวางหลักแห่งการสงเคราะห์ไว้และพวกเราก็สามารถนำมาใช้ในงานสังคมสงเคราะห์ได้เป็นอย่างดี Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would like to thank our Thai colleagues from Thailand, because I think your answers are very important in a sense. They are showing us how Buddhism and social work can coexist in a society. Thank you very much. It was very inspiring. And we have the Thai language. We've got English subtitles and also Japanese subtitles. And I'm trying to figure out how it works. Well, let's. I would like to move forward and ask our next speaker to deliver his lecture. It is Professor Herat from Sri Lanka. Professor Herat, I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, great. Please switch your camera on.
Yes.
We want to see your face.
Actually.
Also. And your PowerPoint is already ready in our PC.
Yes, my camera is not
So please
functioning.
We will put it on.
From your side, it has to open.
All participants.
Yeah. From your side, it has to open.
We can hear your voice, but unfortunately, we cannot see your face.
Because the host,
it's off.
The cannot, yeah.
Perfect. Now it's okay.
Because I opened several times, but it is not functioning. It says that host has closed start video camera.
Okay, now I think you can see.
Yes, something is wrong.
Your slide, yeah.
Yeah, I think it is. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, including Professor Akimoto. It's a great pleasure to address this assembly today through this our Zoom session. Decolonization, Indigenization, Spirituality, and Buddhist social work. Especially today, I will deal with the main features and essence of Buddhist social work. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Buddhist social work definition is permanent and unique principles are directly connected with the eternal truth, how to reduce eternal suffering, small creatures to big animals as well as human societies. I think the universal suffering is not very specific to one society, such as primitive peasant or feudal capitalist or socialist or any forms of societies. Actually, all human beings and animals, they have suffering. We had been born as an animal, therefore in this birth we have to do meritorious activities. This is the most important thing according to Buddhism. Those meritorious activities we call social work and reduce cause connected to suffering. But in the Western social work promotes reduction of suffering temporarily among selected social groups or social categories or people in according to their classification. The objective of this paper is to compare and contrast between Buddhist social work and the Western social work. And yes, look at the originality of the Western social work. The Western social work was directly connected with the capitalism in the Western world 250 years before. Capitalism, industrialization, individualism, social equality, exploitation, which are connected with the financial hardships, factory system, suicide and homicide, the loss of kinship ties, poverty and health problems, prostitution, etc., number of problems. Next. Originality of Buddhist social work was connected with peasant or folk society in the 6th century BC. Cause of social work, the mainly birth is suffering according to our belief system, then puberty, then marriage, then death, illness, everything is connected to suffering because address the root causes of all creatures suffering problems, animal world, human world, because birth is suffering, decay is suffering, disease is suffering, death is suffering, association with the unloved ones is suffering, separate from the loved ones is suffering, not to get what one desires is suffering. In brief, the 5 groups of attainment is suffering because according to our belief system, everything is suffering. Therefore, Western world, Western social work is give temporarily arranged to reduce the suffering. But in Buddhism, its originality directly connected with the how to reduce suffering totally. That's the case. Next one. I think everybody knows this definition of the Western social work. Already we have more than 50 definitions. We'll give up that. All these colleagues, they know very well the definitions of social work. But in Buddhism, we have only single definition about social work. What I have explained, how to reduce suffering. Yes, next one. That one also European background of American social work. Everybody knows how this time to time they have changed, right, to different commodities, different collections, etc., given to the people, poor people, right? That's what they did under social work in the Western world. Yes, next one. Yes, next one. Yeah. Please, next slide. Look at this. Whatever they have done in the Western world, they call this professional social work. They give license to reduce those things. But look at the 21st century, our complex society. Everything is connected with birth, puberty, marriage, death. In addition to that, in the modern world, we have insecurity, crime, adolescent sexuality, violence in school, ill health, domestic violence, HIV, AIDS, old age problem, poverty, prostitution. Number of problems are increasing. Finally, we can accommodate everything into suffering common to everybody. How can we reduce? Therefore, Lord Buddha's social work is directly connected to the how to reduce permanently this suffering. That's the structure of Buddhist social work. Yes, next one. Yeah, why suffering is there? every society we have lust, loba, hatred, dosa, and delusion, moha or the tanna, cause of action, demerit. As humans, we need to implement 3 principles to reduce suffering, do social work. Gifts, dharana, virtue, sila, meditation, bhavana. These are the most important principles directly connected with the social work. Right, next one. Gifts generally refers to giving materials. Giving is praised in Buddhism, not only because it gives rise to the merit, but also because it leads to eradication of cravings from the gives mind. Materials, gifts include anything pertaining to the 4 requests: cloth, food, residence, and medicine. According to the Buddhism, gifts of Dhamma excels all other gifts. Sabbadhanam, Dhammadhanam jinati. Virtue. Virtue refers to restoration, evil behavior, especially refraining from unwholesome bodily and verbal activities. This leads to elimination of defilements. Meditation. Meditation is of 2 kinds: tranquility, serenity, samatha, and vipassana. Concentration gives rise to the meditative absorption and it makes a person's mind clear, pure, and one pointed. Insight meditation leads to clear version, eradication of defilement, and attainment of arhat. Is the most important and the last end of our Buddhist teaching of social work. Yes, next. So, in Sri Lankan Buddhist monks' social work, what Lord Buddha said in Pali stanza, Dansil Bhavana, Pindenu Anumodana, Vanasanu Desana, Pidiyuttan Pudenu Samana, which includes the 10 meritorious actions which are directly connected to the social work. Actions acknowledged by the Lord Buddha in 6th century BC. Gifts, dharana, virtue, sila, meditation, bhavana, respect, capacity, rendering a service, transference of merit, devotedly rejoicing at merit, advocating Dhamma, listening to Dhamma, rectitude, views. Above mentioned 10 meritorious actions connected with then 150 social work activities are connected in Sri Lankan temples. Even you look at in the Vesak day, full moon day, Lord Buddha's, millions of innocent people, they are offering dana free of charge. That kind of practice are not existing other part of the world. Yes, next one. Let's look at this. It's a very fascinating diagram I have made. Selected social problems today: poverty, insecurity, occupational safety, disaster victims connected to disaster problems in modern days, retirement, chronic medical problems such as kidney diseases, the impact material conflicts. All these things are Western social work connected to the remuneration. They give money, they give assistance to overcome these hardships. Last 150 years or even before. Look at this other side of that, all this domestic violence, unemployment, urban decline and family homelessness, crime, substance abuse, adolescent sexuality, child maltreatment, etc. Because all these modern social work associated areas discussed under Buddhist social work 2500 years before very clearly. Those things are associated central value system of the Buddhism. It is direct connected with the Buddhist social work. Metta, love and kindness, karuna, compassion, mudita, sympathetic joy, upekha. equanimity. Yes, next one. Yes, classification of selected social problems, nature, disaster victims, retirement, ill health, values connected to right side social problems, greed, hatred, delusion, conceit, wrong view, doubt, sloth, distraction, absence of shame or fear, of blame. All these things are in the Western world connected with that. Cause of unwholesome actions, killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, slandering, harsh speech, fibers, gossip, covetousness, ill will, wrong view. All these things are very common in those countries which are connected with the values. Yes, next one. Look at the Western social work tradition attempts to settle currently material world in this world associated problems, while this Buddhist social work tradition tries to solve material world problems as well as eternal suffering using spiritual development based social work activities. That's what we are trying to implement. Thank you very much.
Professor Herat,
Yes,
thank you very
I can
much.
hear
Thank you
you.
very much for your presentation.
I'm so sorry, I can't open this camera. It is closed by your side. Yes.
Yes, yes. Yes, so sorry. It seems there's some technical problem. Actually, you're trying to check, but probably your camera on your computer seems to be set off. So unfortunately, we are not
Yeah.
able to see your face. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Thank you very much for your lecture concerning the essence, the essential part, the essential characteristic of the concept of Buddhist social work. Thank you very much again.
Thank
And
you.
I would like to go next. And our next guest is Huong Nguyen from University of Minnesota. But actually, I think that Huong is now in Thailand, working in the US, in Thailand, in Vietnam. Huong, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can.
Perfect,
Can you hear
perfect,
me?
perfect. Great. We can see your face. We can hear your voice. Great. Thank you very much for coming today. We are very happy to have you. And actually, 2 years ago, we worked together on the research project called What Buddhist Social Work Can Do While the Western-Rooted Professional Social Work Cannot. And honestly speaking, I was fascinated. I was impressed reading your research report. I was fascinated by how different the Western-rooted and Buddhist approaches are. Could you tell us more about these differences? How different are, for example, causes of mental health problems recognized by both approaches?
Thank you, Joseph. So, hello everyone. Greetings from Thailand. I'm staying in a temple, Wat Rompo, in Loi, province Loi in Thailand now. But I am, as you can tell from the title, so my name is Huong Nguyen, and I was trained in social work. I got my PhD and master's degree from social work at the University of Chicago, but I'm originally from Vietnam. So about, hello and thank you again for organizing this conference. So Joseph, about your question, you are basically asking me to summarize almost like a, 2,000 years of history of the world in a way into 5 minutes. So I prepared this short PowerPoint that hopefully can address your question. And this is about Western rooted approach to psychotherapy, to treating mental health problems compared to Buddhist social work approach. So imagine the two scenarios. So let's say we have, I want to answer your question with example to make it more clear and specific. So let's say we have a man named Huiker, or you can say John or Joseph or whoever, has a lot of mental suffering. And so he's anxious, he's sad, he's angry, he has problem controlling his thoughts and emotions. And in scenario number one, he went to a Western psychotherapist or a social worker or a clinical social worker who would provide mental health service. And he would say, my mind is anxious, please pacify it, or please help me to calm my mind. So that's it, scenario number one. And scenario number two, Uyghur went to a Buddhist monk and he would say the same thing. My mind is anxious. Please help me to calm my mind. What do you think will happen in these two scenarios? How would Uyghur or John or whoever you say, Mary, be helped in these two different scenarios? I will use this example to explain how the two ways approach mental health problems differently, the cause and the treatment of mental health problem. So in the scenario, you can see that some of the key factors in the scenario, and this is also the key factors in mental health care in Western world and in Buddhism. One, we have a Huikur, which is the patient. Then we have Huikur's mind as a whole, which include his thoughts, his emotion, his memory, his awareness, his consciousness, a lot, everything that we consider the mind as a whole. And then we have another factor is his current mental state, which is anxiety, which in Western world, we would call it mental disorder. And then we would have a name, for example, depression, anxiety disorder, schizophrenia, or stress, or bipolar, and things like that. So that is current state. We have the therapist. In this case, it would be either the Western psychotherapist or clinical social worker and the Buddhist monk. So in scenario number one, with the Western psychotherapist, the approach to help Huiker would be they will try to fix Huiker's anxiety largely by one, either they try to change the contents of his mind. So that means if he would ask Huiker, so what are you anxious about? What do you think? And he would say, Huiker would say, well, I think a lot about my mom and she's this and that, for example, or my girlfriend or something like that. So they would change the contents by replacing anxious thoughts and emotion with more positive ones. And this is where you will see, they would analyze his mind and try to change the mind. So that is what you will see with psychoanalysis, cognitive therapy, behavioral therapy, or CBT, and many other kind of Western therapies. Or more recently, when they see that changing the mind is very difficult, we keep telling people, think positive, think positive, think positive, but they cannot. So then they change the approach, and now Western mental health care started to help by changing not the contents of the mind, but the relationship to the mind. This is what, when you will see, for example, mindfulness-based cognitive therapy or mindfulness-based stress reduction. And what they do is they will train him quicker to, for example, accept anxious thoughts. Let's say, well, let it be, or be mindful of it, be aware of it without judgment. But in both ways, either change the contents or the relationship to the mind, in the Western approach, they will think the person, which is weaker, his mind, and then the negative mental state that he has are unreal. And a Western psychotherapist will always guide the person to do something to fix the mind. They always work with the mind and fix it, change it, manage it, control it, analyze it, do something with the mind to make it into a better state of the mind. So that's what Western psychotherapy would do. Now, in scenario number 2, where Huike went to the monk, this is actually, I took this from a real, true, very famous Buddhist story between Huike and the Zen master Bodhidharma, who is from India, and Huike is from China. So Bodhidharma and Huike are considered the first father, the founding father of Chinese Zen Buddhism. So Huike went to Bodhidharma and he said, "My mind is anxious, please pacify it." And Bodhidharma said, "Bring me your mind and I will pacify it." So Huike looked into himself, whatever, to try to find the whole mind, the mind, what we call the mind, to bring it to Bodhidharma so that Bodhidharma can pacify it. He searched and he searched and he searched. And after some time, he said, "Well, although I have searched for my mind, I cannot find it." And Bodhidharma said, "There, I have pacified your mind. I have calmed your mind. Not calm your thoughts, not calm your emotions, not calm you, but calm the entire mind." So, and this in Buddhist sense, I'm sure many of you know, this is called an awakening moment, or it's called enlightenment. And I think this may be the world's fastest psychotherapeutic session, in which in 1 second, somebody just totally uproot their mental problem at the root. So no more suffering. And so from this story, you can see that in Buddhist approach to the cause and treatment of mental suffering, they disregard the entire mind system that Western psychotherapy often try to work with for many centuries now, starting with Sigmund Freud. Buddhism basically just disregard that mind. We call that the deluded mind, the impermanent mind, the monkey mind, many names. But this mind that the Western psychotherapy always work with is impermanent. It changes all the time. If it changes all the time, how can you analyze it? How can you fix it? How can you take it for real? How you control? How can you manage? You cannot even relate to it. Any attempt to fix, to control, to analyze, to change, to manage, to take it real, to relate to this deluded impermanent mind only lead to more suffering, which is why Western psychotherapy has been struggling for a long time. So in Buddhist sense, even the belief or the idea that a person has or on his mind is deluded, and it is a source of suffering. So I once asked a master, if you have to summarize, you have to sum up all Buddha's teaching in 1 sentence, what would you say? And he said, no ego, no problem. If you don't have that self, then you don't have any problem. Because any problem attributed to my problem is also deluded. So you end the person, you end the mind, and you end any state of the mind. So in Buddhist sense, you don't go into the mind to analyze, to fix, to control, to manage, to do whatever. You help the person to wake entirely out of the deluded mind and the deluded self. And that way they end on the problem. So I can sum up the core difference as this analogy. Western psychotherapy is similar to going into a client's nightmares to change the events and stories of the nightmare. So somebody come to you and say, oh, I'm anxious. It's similar to like he come and said, oh, last night I dreamed that a snake bit me and I was really scared in the dream. What would I do? And then a Western psychotherapist would say, well, they wouldn't change the person in the dream. They wouldn't change the snake. They wouldn't change the event of being bitten by a snake. But Buddhist approach, Buddhist psychotherapy will simply wake the person up, thus ending on his nightmare. We don't have to fix the snake. We don't have to fix a person in the dream. We don't have to fix a biting. It's just a dream. If you wake a person up, all of that evaporate, it vanished by itself. And so here is also, I can also sum up some of the key differences between Western and Buddhist approach to psychotherapy. In terms of the patient, and Western only work with humans. Buddhism work with own human, own beings, human and non-human. In terms of the mind, then the Western will go into to analyze the mind, fix the mind, manage the mind, control the mind, train the mind, etc. The Buddhism just work out of the entire impermanent mind. In terms of the mental problems, and the Western world will see depression is different from anxiety, different from stress, different from addiction, different from schizophrenia. But Buddhism don't see them as different. I mean, if something happened in the dream, it is a dream, total. So no two different among these empty manifestation of the deluded mind. It's like clouds in the sky. It can shape up as a bear or a snake or a tiger or a human. It's just the clouds changing all the time. You don't have to be scared. And in terms of the therapists, then the Western psychotherapists will use technique, skill, experience, knowledge, and a lot, and verbs and words, and to help. Buddhism, in Buddhism, we think words are secondary, but we think that the awakening power of the monk or the nun is very important. And so if someone is awakened, he will be able to transmit that to the patient and help him uproot, get out of the deluded mind and ending on the problem. So I think I have 5 minutes or something. That's what Joseph told me to describe, to present on the differences between the two approach. And I want to end with this picture. This is me teaching English to the monks and nuns in the temple in Vietnam in the summer. And this is sort of me bridging between Western social work and Buddhist social work in a way. I have written, as part of this project, I have written a very long report that explains a lot more about what I just presented in 5 minutes. So if you are interested, you can, I think it's coming out. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have questions, feel free to ask. And thank you again.
Dear Huang, thank you very much. Thank you very much for example of the world's fastest psychotherapeutic session, and also for probably world's fastest introduction of the core concept of Buddhist philosophy. Thank you very much again. It was very impressive. Thank you. And because we have no time to discuss more, I would like to move forward and ask our next guest, Professor Yusuke Fujimori from Shukutoku University, Japan, to share with us. Fujimori sensei, よろしくお願いします。And my question is about the role of Buddhists and Buddhist temples after the earthquake and tsunami in March 2011. Buddhist temples and Buddhists played a huge role in the disaster-affected areas in northeastern Japan. Could you please share with us some examples? 藤森先生、よろしくお願いします。東大震災のことについて少しお聞きしたいと思うんですけれども、震災の時にお寺、そして僧侶が被災地において大きな役割を果たしたかと思いますけれども、いくつかの事例についてご紹介いただけませんか。
はい、ARIISWの藤森です。よろしくお願いします。私たちARIISWでは、東日本大震災に際して、日本の仏教教団、被災地の寺院、そして教団の指示ではなく、各団体の理念や意思決定で活動する仏教系の直接支援団体に対して、それぞれ援助に関する調査を実施しました。その結果からいくつか特徴的な事例をご紹介したいと思います。まず日本の仏教教団が行った活動としては、広く社会に働きかけて募金活動を行ったことです。その結果、55億8000トンで41万3889円が集まりました。これは比較例を挙げると、日本で交通事故維持への支援を長く行っている歴史と社会的な信頼のある社会福祉団体、足長育英会が行った東日本大震災に関する寄付の総額が 53億9400万円だった点と比べても遜色のない数字だと考えられます。続いて、被災地で被災した寺院でありながら避難者を受け入れて避難所の役割を担った寺院に関する特徴的な数字です。これらの寺院の約 56% は災害発生以前は避難所として指定されていたわけではありません。災害発生後に人々が助けを求めて逃げてこられた結果、特に日頃の準備の有無にかかわらず避難所としての役割を担うことになりました。平均して93.8 人の避難者の方を受け入れ、避難所として開いた期間は平均152日であることも分かりました。つまり、これらの数字からは、東日本大震災で避難所の役割を担った寺院は約3ヶ月近くの期間、普段お付き合いのない人々が半数以上含まれていることも含めて、100名近い人々の生活を支えていたことになります。特に初動の段階では、1週間以上外部の支援もない中でその対応を行っていたことも明らかになっています。続いて、仏教系の直接支援団体についてですが、彼らは災害発生当初から被災地に入り、緊急時の食料や物資の支援から、フェーズの変化に応じて、傾聴や心の支え、いわゆるメンタルケアですね、あるいは地域復興のお手伝いまで、本当に多彩な活動を展開してきました。その中には、10年が経とうとする現在も、沢会等を開いて、被災者の方々に寄り添い続けるなど、継続的な活動を行っている団体もおります。もっとも、この1年はコロナ禍の中で、なかなか活動することはできなかったと聞いてますが。
ありがとうございました。So I would like to move to the second question. Social welfare agencies, local government, and other organizations were also very active in disaster-affected areas. Could you tell us something about the characteristic of Buddhist monks and temples? Is there something what monks or temples can do, but social workers cannot? 次の質問に行きたいと思います。社協など、行政機関も被災地の人々に対してさまざまな支援を行ってきたと思いますけれども、寺院じゃなければできない、または僧侶じゃなければなかなかできないという、いわゆる寺院または僧侶ならではの取り組みについて、調査の際に確認できましたでしょうか。寺院と僧侶、何らかの特徴というのは見えましたでしょうか。
はい。先ほど、援助を行った側の調査についてお話ししましたが、実は援助を受けた側についても調査を行っています。被災した自治体の中でボランティアセンターを設置して、仏教を含めたさまざまなボランティアを受け入れた岩手県、宮城県、福島県の市町村の社会福祉協議会を対象にして調査を行った結果、仏教を含む宗教系の活動はおおむね好意的に受け止められています。宗教系の団体との今後の在り方についても積極的に連携すべきである。可能であれば連携した方が良いという問いの合計は 67% という結果が出ています。これは政教分離という考え方が強く定着している現在の日本の事情を考えると驚くほど肯定的な数字だと考えます。さて、そこで先ほどの問いの答えですが、こういった評価された活動の一例で言えば、やはり先に触れた傾聴やメンタルケアが挙げられます。被災者を前に、社会福祉の専門家ですと名乗って声をかけても、なかなか心を開いてくれず、関係性を構築することが難しい一方で、僧侶という立場で寄り添った場合は、わずかな時間で日々の不安や肉親を失った悲しみを吐き出して、ストレスの緩和に役立っているという場面を実際に目にしてきました。ただ、特徴的なことは、そんな場面を目にした社会福祉の専門家である社会福祉協議会の職員の中には、彼らの僧侶を私たちと同じ福祉専門職、ソーシャルワーカーの役割を果たしていると評価する方もいる一方で、僧侶たちの多くはソーシャルワークを行っている、あるいは社会福祉の代わりを果たしているという認識はほとんどありませんでした。基本的には仏教者としてなすべきことを担っていると考えて行動をとっていました。このあたりに日本における仏教ソーシャルワークの課題や可能性について考えていくヒントがあるのではないかというふうに考えています。
藤森先生、どうもありがとうございました。Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing. Thank you very much for your answers. And hearing to Professor Fujimori's answer, I felt that there are so many similarities, for example, with Thailand. And I think we can see so many common points across countries and across regions. So I would like to ask our next guest, actually the last guest, Professor Lungten Wangdi from Royal University of Bhutan. Today I wear this traditional Japanese haori to fit this settings, this typical Japanese room and tatami mats. But I think that the yellow color is great and fit to the traditional Buddhist monk's robe you can see all around Asia. The orange color in Thailand and a little bit yellow brown in Sri Lanka. So Professor Lungten, hello.
Hello.
Hello. Okay.
Yes. Good afternoon. I'm just on the screen.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yes.
What's the time in Bhutan?
It is just 2:36.
I see. In the afternoon.
It's just afternoon. Yeah.
What's the weather in Bhutan right now?
It's quite clear. It's quite clear. It's a springtime just as in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. I see. Great.
Quite clear. It's a bright sunny day.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for attending our conference, and
thank you very much.
Thank you. I would like two questions. I would like to ask two questions. The first one is as follows. I think that professional social work is quite a new discipline, quite a new area in Bhutan. Just 1 year ago, the first international conference on social work was held in Bhutan. And there's also a brand new university course in social work in Bhutan, I hope. However, I think that it doesn't mean that there were no social work activities before this date. Could you share with us some examples of indigenous social work practices in Bhutan?
Okay, thank you, Joseph. And I'm happy to see Akimoto-san on the screen as well. And in fact, it has always been a privilege staying and then associating with Professor Akimoto. And I sometimes get a kind of feeling he has a kind of a spiritual fatherness with me. So now getting back to this question, Bhutan did not have the social work as instituted. And later on, like Royal University of Bhutan wanted to initiate something of a social work, which is accredited with the university and giving a degree, in fact. However, on the kind of an introspection or a kind of a re-introspection, we found Bhutan itself had a kind of a social work, which is not actually publicized, but indigenous, which is native, which is local. And we see Bhutanese do not want to have a kind of a social work which is based on a kind of a new liberal economics, which is branded, but want it to be organic and then keep it as simple as it is, so that every Bhutanese is becoming a kind of a social worker, in fact. So this is how I would like to look at it. And Bhutanese social work wanted to make it very simple in a sense. We just wanted to keep it very subsistence, very small, micro, because it is manageable. We are a small country and we wanted to see we wanted to see a Bhutanese social work, not glamorous, not glossy. And we just wanted to see like Bhutanese social work is actually blended with the Bhutanese culture, in fact. So we expect many Bhutanese to be a social worker for everybody else. So that's why we call it everybody wanted to be happy, because there is a kind of an embeddedness of social work in each and every Bhutanese. So this is how I wanted to look at it. The other one that we see is when it is a kind of a subsistence, it becomes sustainable. It is manageable, it's small. And then later on, you can just see when it is becoming a kind of a culture, it also has to do with a kind of a spiritualism. So in a way, like we wanted to look at a Bhutanese social work from 3 points of view, in a sense, like we wanted to be very subsistent. We wanted to see like it is sustainable, and we wanted to see it is eternal, living forever and becoming a part of us. But however, we also have some challenges now, because we have we are being marketed with the kind of a new liberal economic, which can actually pose a threat to it. And then along with this comes a package like where we have so much of problem as well. So in a way, it is important, like many of us who are getting into such kind of an awakening, as a few minutes before Nan spoke to us. I think Bhutanese need to be awakened to see, like we are trying to base our social work on 3S, in fact. So this is how I'd like to look at it, Joseph and Akimoto-san.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think that the Buddhist social work practices you have described are deeply rooted in Bhutanese culture. You said they are deep in your country's people, in your mind, in your hearts. So but those activities and practices seem to be quite different, or seem to be based on quite different principles and methods than are usually used in Western-rooted profession. Do you think that the Western-rooted professional social work may work in a Bhutanese culture context? What do you think about this question?
I'm a bit worried, like when it is more of a certification or when it is more of an accreditation, it comes with a kind of a social work, which is with a kind of a new liberal economic. And in a new liberal economic, sometimes this can cause a compromise to the Bhutanese way of living, because when we have a social work which is actually barred, not getting into from that of the traditional practices or that of the conventional wisdom that we have, or an ancient wisdom that we have, if you have a kind of a social work like this of the new liberal, this might cause a problem. In a sense, we are going to disengage our social work. We are going to disengage something of a social service that we have. And as a result of it, we can just see this is creating a kind of a hiccup for a kind of a Bhutanese social work. So this is actually a perspective that we are, many of the Buddhists are looking at it. Is it audible? Professor Akimoto? Joseph, am I online?
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your insights, for your comments.
I hope I made some clarification
for a discussion. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And you got, I hope, 10 minutes or 12 minutes to share with other participants, to share some questions and comments from other participants. And I think that's your comment, Lungten, is very close to the question raised by Mark Henriksen from New Zealand. We got a question from Mark, and I would like to read it right now. Would it be fair to say that the activities that social workers do are similar in both Buddhist and Western modalities, even if the motivations and underlying philosophy is different? Can we say that the goals of Buddhist social work and Western social work are therefore different? This is a very interesting question raised by Mark. Thank you very much, Mark.
Joseph, can you just...
And yeah,
Can you just help me to
Yeah. Go
can
ahead.
you re-emphasize on it? Can you just rephrase on it?
Okay. Wait a minute. I will put it on the screen. So wait a minute. We will put it on the screen to be easy to understand, and I will repeat it again. Would it be fair to say that the activities that social workers do are similar in both Buddhist and Western modalities, even if the motivations and underlying philosophy is different? Can we say that the goals of Buddhist social work and Western social work are therefore different?
I think ultimately what we are looking for, we are trying to see all the social work has a kind of a humanistic values. We are looking from the humanistic perspective. But at times you can just see when it comes with the kind of the Western social work, so sometimes it comes with a kind of a brand of imperialistic attitude. And then we can just see like this imperialistic attitude is getting into some of the Bhutanists as well, who are not matured. And then when they are not actually matured, they might get into a kind of attitude of a colonialism. And then you can just see these are the people who really get into a kind of oppression of the people, the fellows even. So in a way, like we believe on it, but we do not actually see from the point like where the Buddhist social works are not a leader in terms of, they do not make a kind of an introspection to see like they are leading for the good of the humanity by giving a good services. At times you can just see, if you have that kind of a mentality of the Western social work, sometimes they believe in the people as a kind of a followers, not as a leader in other people. So you can just see Buddhist social leaders or social worker have to think, making everybody is capable of their own thinking, and not in a way like you actually do not get to make these people the orientalist. You do not make the people follow, but you believe in all the people. So in a way, I see a kind of a humanistic built up by the Buddhist social work. But if you look from the kind of Western social work, you can just see it is becoming more of a competition at times. It is also becoming more of a licensing at times. And in it, like no individual is actually looking forward to become a good human being. So ultimately, you can just see when we see a Buddhist social work, we just wanted to see everybody becoming a human, and then everybody trying to help each other, not in a way like a social work is a competition. A social work is just reserved for a group of people who are white collared. So I see social work has nothing to do with the white collar. I think social work has a kind of a uniformity. You treat everybody. We even have a prayer in Bhutanese. If you can treat everybody equally, or if you wanted to serve everybody, you do it without a kind of a discrimination. And it brings a sense of humanity, in fact. So this is how I look at it, Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What about other panelists? Wong, would you like to react? Or, I mean, Lungten stressed the humanity and humanistic approach. But have you something to add?
Yes. So and because I'm kind of I've been both, right? I mean, and I'm still both in a way. So I mean, like I said, I was trained as in Western in America as a social worker, and then now I'm staying in a temple, being a nun/researcher. So, and I'm speaking from where I am now. I think maybe 10 years later, I will think differently. But with my experience so far, I think that both will try to, the key word is, I think both groups will still use one key word, which is help, to help the society, help people, help being. So the key word is the same, but how do they think about what is helping, how to help is different, and who to help and help with what is different. So, and in a nutshell, the way I've been experiencing is that the professional social workers or the Western style social worker help people to have a better world and to have a better life in the world, but they take the world and life for real. So health for real, sickness as real, death as real, problems are real, relationships are real, and every problems are real, and they try to fix that. But from Buddhist viewpoint, I think when they help, then they remove, they are in the world and they help the world, but they are not attached to the world. They're not clinging to the world. They are actually helping people to not to have a better life in the world, but to be in the world and be helpful in the world, but not attached and not taking it real. And because of that, I think it helped to reduce the problem in a more deeply and fundamental way. And because of that, when you do not cling and attach, then it doesn't matter if they are poor or they are sick or they have this problem or that problem. If the mind, it's okay. They don't focus on specific problem as poverty or sickness or any of that. So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would like to move to the next question. It's from Jafar from Pakistan. And Jafar wants to know if Buddhist social work can be practiced without utilizing Western knowledge-based and practice standards of social work. It's the question is open to all panelists. What about Sopa Onopas from Thailand? I think she's experienced in both fields, working together with social workers and also with Buddhist temples in Thailand. Can Buddhist social work be practiced without utilizing Western knowledge?
Joseph,
So,
can I try something?
Oh.
After.
Yes, Professor Joseph, may I say something? I'm Professor Herat.
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Actually, because in my slides I have shown very clearly, because Western social work is most probably its age is it's a very young subject, right? Without practicing, can Buddhist social workers do it? Yes, because they understood all these social problems at more than 2,600 years before. That is why I have shown they don't want to relearn again and again and again. Everything is directly connected with the suffering. Without any categorization, human beings as well as others, animals, we have tried to reduce suffering. In addition to that, most of the Buddhist social work, they don't get any payments, no remunerations, right? In that sense, they don't want to retrain again. They know all the problems, birth to death. That is my explanation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I would like also Sopa Onopas to share with us.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Only 3 minutes, so please be brief and be fast. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Like my experience, right? I think the social worker, right, can use the Buddhist social work. In model B, they can use the Western knowledge, if model B, right? But if model C, no, because the knowledge of Buddhist, the teaching, the regulation or whatever in the Buddhist, I think is enough to solve the problem also. Then it's depend on model. That is my question. Is this my answer? Sorry.
Thank you very much, and thank you for reflecting the ABC model. I think it's clear also the difference between the model B and model C. Thank you very much. And I'm very sorry, our time is over. And as the last speaker, I would like to ask Kanamatsu from ARIISW to just briefly to share with us her brief comment on the whole session. So, Kana, the floor is yours.
Hello again. Thank you very much. Oh, this is a very important role for me because we started Professor Akimoto introduced and showed the guideline. And also, we had three interviewee from Thailand and Vietnam and Bhutan. Those presenters expressed the very interesting example by the Buddhist monks and Buddhist Buddhist nuns and the laymen. Also, Professor Hera introduced about the theory of Buddhist social work. Thank you very much. I think this is a good start line for the whole session of 2 days, 24 hours midday session. So I really enjoyed the discussion, and I hope the presenters and also participants enjoy the top discussion on topics, and we can start and we need to continue the discussion on the social work, on the social work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think it is a miracle because there was no electricity failure, no problem with connection, and we were able to deliver 2 hours of discussions, lectures, and interview sessions, all focusing on Buddhist social work. Thank you very much again. That's all from Japan. That's all from Thailand, Bhutan, and Sri Lanka. And I would like to finish the ARIISW session. And the next session from Africa, from ASWA, Africa, will start in 2 hours. It's 8 p.m. In Tokyo time in the afternoon. So thank you very much for attending the ARIISW session, and see you in 2 hours at ASWA session to hear voice from Africa. Thank you very much again. That's all. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, all the organizers. I miss Japan. So, bye.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. The organizer. So thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor
Thank you very
Akimoto
much.
and rest of our colleagues.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.